Hi, I'm Sandra Solomon Blum. I was born October 5th, 1930 in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Moved to Omaha when I was a year old. Lived there till I was 18.
What brought you to Omaha?
My mother's family lived in Omaha, her brother and her mother. So my father, who was from Chicago, decided, why not? And we lived in Omaha and had a wonderful time.
How did your mother and dad meet?
Mom was visiting Minneapolis, and it was a blind date. And my father was in the shoe business then. And he looked at my mother and told her that she was wearing the wrong size shoes. And it was love at first sight.
Tell me a little bit about your mother's family.
My grandmother came from Poland. My grandfather came from Rus, Poland. And my grandmother came here when she was 14. I don't know how old my grandfather was. My grandfather died very, very young. He was 35. I don't remember now what brought them to Omaha. They met in New York and moved to Omaha. And my grandmother lived in Omaha till the day she died.
Did she have family in Omaha?
Oh my goodness, yes. She had a lot. Well, I shouldn't say that. My grandfather had a lot of family in Omaha. My grandmother's family migrated to California. And they started in Petaluma and worked San Francisco, then Petaluma, and worked themselves down. Tremendous family out here. My grandfather had a tremendous family in Omaha. He had brothers, no sister, brothers only.
What was your mother's maiden name?
White.
And
I think when they came over from the old country it was Bite, but in the translation when they came through immigration it turned out to be White.
can you name some of these relatives?
Oh yes. Joe White, Morris White, Irv White, Herbie White. There was Uncle Joe and Aunt Esther had 7 or 8 kids, and all my cousins, and I'm trying to think. Uncle Morris had 4 children. There was a big white family in Omaha.
And how about your father's side of the family?
Father was born in Boston. They moved to Chicago. He was one of 8 brothers and sisters. They moved to Chicago when he was very young, and they all lived there until the day they died, with the exception of my father, who lived, of course, in Omaha. But what brought them to Chicago, I have no idea.
And did you meet your grandparents on both sides? Your
My
father's?
grandfather on my father's side had already passed away when I was born. My grandmother lived until I was about 5 or 6 years old. My grandmother, when we moved to Omaha, my father, my mother, and I lived with my grandmother and my uncle. So we were just one big family. I never met my grandfather on my mother's side because, as I say, he died when he was 34 or 35 years old.
So you grew up in a family with the grandmother present?
I was the only child, I was the only grandchild, and I was the only niece of a bachelor uncle. It was wonderful.
Tell me about that uncle.
His name was Fred White. He was the dearest, warmest, most wonderful man, and a very, very bright man, and a very influential attorney in Omaha. He had a law firm called Leon White and Lip, and it was located at 17th and Farnham. And he employed, over the years, many attorneys who went on to become quite well known also in Omaha. Brilliant man.
And you were pretty close with this uncle.
Indeed I was. He was the love of my life, next to my father, of course.
And obviously
I adored him.
You were his favorite.
I was the only one. I was the only niece, and I was. It was a mutual admiration society.
Did he live with you during those years?
Yes, we all lived together in a huge apartment. We had a 10-room apartment at 4914 Dodge Street. I think it's still there. There were 2 apartments. There was the Adelaide and the Lee Tom. And we all lived together there, and it was the best of all times. Until I came out here, I went through high school and then came out to Los Angeles. By that time, my grandmother had passed away.
Tell me about your elementary education. Where did you go to school?
Went to Dundee. Went all 8 years to Dundee. It was terrific. I mean, I'm going to start sounding like a Pollyanna, but it was the best of all years. Terrific teachers. Some of my friends from grade school I still am close to. And not much to talk about, except we had a wonderful time. It was the best of all times.
Who were some of these friends?
Let's see, there was Joanne Freeman. Her maiden name was Joanne Levy. Audrey Cohn, who was Audrey Greenberg. Elaine Mendelson. Roberta Rosen. Trying to think of my confirmation class. Janice Galinsky, to name a few.
And you've remained in contact with most of these girls.
I did, and Esther Zirinsky. Esther Zirinsky and Audrey and Joanne and a girl that was a few years older, Joey Simon. We've all remained close. Yeah, we have. There were a couple of others, Dee Cohn, who was a little bit older, but really caught up to them in high school. Trying to think, in grade school, Jack Cohn, we went through grade school together. There was a fellow by the name of Ted Coterie. Joan Fike, whose father was a big attorney in Omaha. I can't believe that these names are coming. I haven't thought of this in a long, long time. Courtney Joan McMahon. Oh my God, I haven't thought of that in a long time. A lot of these people have moved away, but Joanne and Audrey and Esther and Elaine's living in Chicago now, but Joanne and Audrey and I remain close friends all these many years.
And did you belong to Bethel Synagogue during these years?
Yes, when Rabbi Goldstein was rabbi. Yeah. Oh, I must say, my cousin Maxine White. Her mother passed away when she was just a little girl, and my mom became like her surrogate mother. So we were kind of raised like sisters, and we've remained close all these many years. She's like a sister, and I adore her. That was another one. Yes, talking about Bethel, Rabbi Goldstein was at Bethel, and all the people I mentioned, we were confirmed there. And it was only a block away from where I lived. And we would walk. I went to Hebrew school there. And then, of course, I was confirmed. We did not bas mitzvah in those days.
Did you walk to school?
Dundee, yes.
How far
yeah.
was that from home?
Well, we lived at 49th and Dodge, and Dundee was at 50th and Davenport, I think, and that was, 1, 2, maybe 5, 6 blocks. Absolutely, or maybe a little bit more, but it was short blocks, and we always walked. And there was a boy by the name of Jackie Klein who lived across the street, who was always late to school. If I saw him walking, I knew, I was in trouble because it was late. And we all would walk together, and it was great fun. Snow didn't make any difference. We walked in the cold, the rain. My mother used to bundle me up with earmuffs and scarves and boots and heavy coats, and I was always warm. So as I would walk, I'd start shedding all the clothes because I was just too warm. One of my favorite memories.
Did you walk back and forth for lunch, or did you eat lunch at school?
No. And my mom was home. I had breakfast. She made lunch for me when I came home, and then we walked back to school. And then she was always home when I came home in the afternoon.
What do you remember of the holidays at home?
Oh, where to start? They were wonderful. I don't care what holiday it was, whether it was Hanukkah. Of course, we didn't have Christmas, but we had the house decorated for Hanukkah, and there were always packages for Hanukkah and for Christmas, so that I'd have something to open on Christmas Day. And it was always joyous. I was very blessed. I had the best childhood in the whole world, because I was surrounded by a lot of love, always.
And how about the high holidays?
I thought you were talking about the Jewish holidays. The high holidays were wonderful because It could be 104 in the shade, but we always wore our new clothes, which were usually fall clothes, and didn't make any difference. If it was 104, we still wore the winter clothes. Always loved the high holidays. Rabbi Goldstein used to do wonderful, wonderful sermons. And then all the kids that were attending Bethel during the course of the day, we'd meet outside. If it was not Yom Kippur, we'd go to Harkert's or the Toddle House, which was hamburger. The Harkert's was a hamburger shop, and the Toddle House was a couple of blocks down. We'd go there and have something to eat, and then we'd come back. If it was the Yom Kippur, of course, we fasted.
When you went to high school, did you maintain your friendship with these girls?
Yes. Oh, yeah. I still am friendly with a couple of them. Several have passed away. Audrey just passed away a couple of years ago. Joanne and I are very, very close. Yes, we all stayed very close in high school. Oh, absolutely. Central was, there was Benson High, but most of us went to Central, so we spent 4 years together, the girls and the boys.
How did you get back and forth?
Bus or street, let's see, it seems to be bus. We had a streetcar that ran, I don't remember, I think it was the bus, and once in a while if my uncle was leaving early, he would drive me, or sometimes one of my girlfriends, if I was waiting on the corner, and they came by, if their father was driving them, they would take me to school, but mostly it was on the bus.
What are your memories of Central High School?
The best. It was just a wonderful, wonderful time. I had fabulous teachers, some of which my mother had when she was at Central. I was a good student. I was an A student, and I was fortunate enough, at the end of my 4 years, I was a National Honor Society, which was a great treat for me and a great honor for me. But I was involved in theater and did several of the shows at Central High. We just had a wonderful time. Not everybody, I guess, but certainly I have no complaints. It was wonderful. It was fun. We worked hard. We studied hard. Wonderful teachers, and I got a terrific education. And stayed close to one of the teachers, Virginie McBride, who taught English, and I had her for 4 years. And we stayed close. She came out to visit me out here. We stayed close until the day she died. Fabulous woman.
What was your involvement with the theater?
At Central, the woman who was the coach, the drama coach, was named Amy Rohasek, and I think I took drama lessons as one of the classes, and then I was in a show called Arsenic and Old Lace. I played one of the sisters, and the other girl was Scampy Quigley. We played the two little darlings, the two leads. I was always in shows at Central, and they had a really good curriculum. And then I was at the Omaha Community Playhouse. I did about 3 or 4 shows. And that was during my high school years too. In fact, the first show I did there was a show called Janie with a girl by the name of Virginia Houston, who came out to Los Angeles and did go under contract briefly. But one of the guys in the cast, just as an extra, was a guy by the name of Bob Amundsen, who went on to become, his father went on to become the Amundsen Savings and Loan, and many, many, many years later, I had a crush on Bob. Ami, we called him. I was just going into high school, I think, and he was already going out, and I had a crush on him. And I met him many, many, many years later at a dear friend of my house, and he was stunned when I said, "Remember Janie, the play?" And we had a wonderful time reminiscing.
After you finished high school, what happened to your career?
I came out here to go to the Pasadena Playhouse. I went under contract. They had the Starlet system then, and I went under contract to 20th Century Fox and Paramount first and then 20th. I never got to the Pasadena Playhouse. And I did about 3 films, very brief. If you sneezed, you missed me. But it was the beginning of television. And so I was under contract to NBC locally, and Jerry Lewis wanted to direct in television. And so I worked for him, did 3 shows locally, And then they started commercials, live commercials, and because I had done theater work, I was not afraid of live television. And so I did commercials live, then we went to kinescope, and then we went to film. And that, of course, was what they're doing now, where, not film, but went to what they call film today.
Did you stay with that very long?
I
Acting
did a
is-
lot of television shows that were popular at the time. I did a lot of commercials, which were very lucrative. And then I met my husband, and because he wanted to travel a great deal, you cannot combine the two. You can't do television and travel. You can't commit to one and then suddenly have a trip coming up. So I gave it up then. I always said I went legitimate and got married, and I never regretted it.
Tell me about your social life going back into high school.
Oh, the best. We all just had a wonderful time. There were the ZBTs. There was the Ronos, the Pi Tau Pi, which were high school fraternities. And then there was AZA. They gave fabulous parties. And everyone you knew was either in AZA or ZBT or Pi Tau Pi. It was a terrific time, just terrific. And then there were dances at the Chermont Ballroom that some of the kids at Central High School, 2 guys usually, would give the party, and we all went. It was a wonderful, wonderful social life.
How about the Jewish end of the social life at the Jewish Community Center?
Well, I forgot about the Jewish Community Center. Everybody met there after high school, after classes. That's the meeting place. If you were going to meet somebody, you'd say, I'll see you at the JCC. And by that time, after we were 16, of course, we were smoking then. In fact, my mother made me promise that I wouldn't smoke till I was 16 years old. And then Audrey and I think Joanne and a couple of other of my friends came over. My mother taught us how to smoke. Her claim to fame, and she loved it. So we would go over to the JCC and we'd smoke, and then we would go, there was Walgreens on the corner of 49th and Dodge, and then there was Gould's drugstore on the corner, no, it wasn't there was Walgreens and there was Peel's drugstore, and then on 50th and Dodge, there was Gould's. Oh, I haven't thought of that in years. And there was an adorable guy who worked behind the counter doing sodas and things like that, and all the girls had a crush on him. He was adorable. I think his name was Sonny Fleischer. And all the girls would go in and sit at the around the bar, and he'd make us sodas and sundaes, and we'd all flirt. And it was just the best of all times. The guys were adorable, the girls were adorable. We had fun. A different kind of world than it is today.
Did you go to college at all?
No, I won a scholarship to Nebraska, a drama scholarship, but I wanted to come out here. I knew I wanted to go into acting, and so, as I say, I was accepted to the Pasadena Playhouse. Never did go because I started doing studio work.
You were mentioning about some of your travels in Europe. Can you relive some of those for me?
Yeah, I can. I don't think, my husband being in the diamond business, we would go to Antwerp to buy diamonds, and we'd spend about 2 weeks there. And when we left there, we would spend about 6 weeks on the continent, and depending what we wanted to see and where we wanted to go. I'm trying to think, with the exception of Germany, which we would not go to, we have been to every country in Europe and driven, from one end to the other, more than once. We went to Israel to buy diamonds, so that was fabulous. And then we went to Asia. I have been to all of Africa except South Africa, and we had planned a trip to South Africa, and it was still during apartheid. And we knew we would probably get into trouble because we were both so opposed to apartheid, so we didn't go there. By that time, we had been in East Africa for about 6 weeks on safari. And so I never got to South Africa, and I'm sorry, I would have enjoyed that. The only continent I have not visited is South America, and maybe someday. But I have not been to Egypt. I would like to go there. I have been to Afghanistan. I have driven the Khyber Pass. We had a car driver. We were supposed to go into India, but India and Pakistan was having a border skirmish as usual, so we could only get to Pakistan. We had to stay there because they had bombed the airport. They had bombs rigged along the airport route, so we went to Pakistan, then into India. I have been very blessed. My ex-husband was a gypsy like me, and so we did travel the world. And twice a year, we tried to, or at least once a year, we tried to take a driving trip cross country. We would go either up to Canada, across Canada, down to down the East Coast, and then either back the southern route or the Midwest, or sometimes just come back the northern route. So I have covered all the states in the United States, including Alaska. I've never been to Hawaii, strangely enough, but I have been very blessed because not only have I seen the best of the world, but I've seen the underbelly as well.
I'm kind of amazed when you tell me this, that thinking back of that little girl at Central High School and all the places you've gone since.
Let me tell you something, Ben. When I was in Afghanistan, in Kabul, and we went from Afghanistan to Iran, but this was in the late 60s, I think. I was in Kabul, we were having dinner, and I looked at David and I said, who would have thought little Jewish girl from Omaha would be sitting in Kabul, Afghanistan, or any of the places that I visited? I have been the luckiest human being in the world, not only because of my childhood in Omaha, which truly was a blessing and was the best of all times, but it continued when I came out here, and it has been a wonderful, wonderful life. I sound like a commercial. Can't she leave that in? I love it. I love that she said that. I love it. No, it has been a wonderful, wonderful life.
So your years in Los Angeles, you have truly enjoyed yourself and your life and
You
your
bet.
lifestyle.
Oh yeah, absolutely, from beginning to the middle part, even going through a divorce. I've been blessed. I have fabulous friends out here. They were very supportive. My father had passed away when I got my divorce, but my mother, who really has always been my best friend, she has since passed away. She was the most I could have walked in and said, Mom, I just killed somebody, God forbid. She'd have said, they must have deserved it. She was the best of all moms. And so she was very supportive. My friends were very supportive. So even going through a divorce, and it was very, very difficult for me, it was still the best of all worlds. And I knew ultimately at the other end, it would be terrific.
And the children you've stayed in close contact with over the years.
My ex-husbands, absolutely. Our youngest was 4, and our eldest was 11 when I came into the family. And my ex-husband's wife was not terribly happy and wanted to travel the world, and I loved the kids from the time I met them. And they became like my own, and so we kind of grew up together. And I love them dearly. I hear them, we talk. The youngest I talk to maybe twice or 3 times a week. The eldest, her husband is CEO and chairman of the board of Sterling Jewelers, 850 stores here and in England. And she travels a great deal. He travels a great deal. And she trains dogs and she raises them. So we don't talk quite as much, but I'm very close to them. They were very angry at their father when we got a divorce. But it's okay. He kept saying, not to worry. These things happen. And so I am very close to him too, incidentally, and his wife. So it's all worked out we still are a very close family.
What's life like now?
Fabulous. It's wonderful I'm 78 years old, just October 5th. I go where I want to go. I do what I want to do. I've been blessed. Again, I have wonderful friends. I love theater. I love movies. I go out to eat much too much. I have become a dumpling. But it is a wonderful life. And I don't mind being alone because I was raised as an only child. I'm used to being alone. In fact, too much tumult around me I don't like. I don't like big parties. I entertain a lot, and I am entertained a lot. So I have a great life. I really, Quite frankly, it's a wonderful life.
And you think the foundation of this came from Omaha, Nebraska?
Absolutely it did. Absolutely it did. It gave me the roots and it gave me the wings. And being raised in a family where, number one, looks wasn't important, education, smarts was important, and where the people who were around me loved me unconditionally, and they gave me that foundation. When you are loved unconditionally, anything can happen to you, but you have that foundation. Absolutely, that's the reason. And the life I led in Omaha. I mean, we all knew each other. When we went out, whatever guy came up to the door to take us out, my mother and father knew the family, my grandmother knew the family. There were no secrets, there were no surprises. It was the best of all worlds, translated into the best of all worlds when I came out here. I have no complaints. It's a wonderful world. As we're wrapping this up, if my children should see it, even though I divorced their father many years ago, and we've all remained very close, and I think they know how I feel about them. But Bonnie and Terry, Virginia and Alexander, I think you know how much I have loved you from the moment I met you. You have always been so special. I am the most blessed woman in the world because not only did I have a great marriage with your father, but I got to be a part of your lives and you were a part of mine. I love you dearly with all my heart, more than tongue can tell. And if you ever do see this, well, what can I say? Just that I love you, love you, love you. Thank you for making my life so special.